China, 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 and later India, India, India. I think that says it all. Excellent, excellent. Good morning, everybody. I'll be slightly fast because I have to leave quickly. Vijay and Kamal and dignitaries on the dais and captains of the industry and friends. I was looking at the title of today's conference. 3 key words you must have all observed. One is saying outlook. What is the outlook? The second key word, of course, is Vision 2025. Another key word in between is disruption. So a few days back when I was reminded that I must come and speak, I was just thinking what I should talk about outlook. About 6-7 months back, when the new government took over, and the Honorable Prime Minister gave the clarion call that we must touch $5 trillion economy size by 2025. One of the decisions that the government took to form groups of secretaries. There are about 10 groups formed, 10 groups. Each group can comprise of about between 10 to 12 different departments and organizations. There's one group that is very relevant for all of us, in which, fortunately or unfortunately, whatever it is, I was also a member of one of those groups. That group was called the Sectoral Group of Secretaries on Economy. The coordinator for that was the Commerce Secretary, and the kind of departments that were there in the group were Commerce, DPIIT, DCPC, Steel, Labor, MEA, and so on and so, Pharma, and so on and so on. So we all, for the last about 3-4 months, we have been taking inputs from Kamal, Vijay, and everybody, and then discussing, debating, and then finally, if I remember the date correctly, on 13th of last month, we made a presentation like this before the Honorable Prime Minister and the full Council of Ministers and all the Secretaries, Government of India. That report officially is not out, but because I'm privy to that, but I thought the points that we discussed before the Council of Ministers, the Honorable Prime Minister also was intervening, and what the report that was present for 2.5 hours, I'm going to say in 2-3 minutes, the highlights, but I thought it is very important for all of you to know how the government is viewing and what government wants the outlook, what government is looking at Vision 2025, and so on and so forth. So I just quickly, yesterday, I picked up the report and jotted down some points which I thought I must share, which are of great relevance to everybody. The report was talking about the economy as a whole, but with focus on manufacturing. And of course, it also contained important chapters on chemicals and petrochemicals. So first, I'll talk about what it talked about the whole economy as such. Just a few points. Apart from what we all know as a very vibrant democracy, good technological capabilities and young population, fast urbanization, it is going to become the most populous nation in the world, maybe by 2030 or so. It also said, apart from the slight dip in the GDP, which we all recently experienced, the report says that India is definitely a very influential economic force already. And also, apart from, of course, they use some words like unprecedented economic growth is expected in the very near future. The fundamentals are pretty strong. We will definitely become one of the top economic powers in the world in about next 10 to 15 years. He was talking about India. It also recognized that a lot of transformation is going on in the economy, in the Indian economy. Whether you name it GST or you name it reduction of capital tax, and whatever it is, a lot of transformation is going on. And coupled with the kind of efforts being made on the social side, health side, education side, this entire combination on economic side and all the other factors is definitely going to make India a very powerful nation in the world in the very near future. So the group said that given this ambitious target and ambitious goal of reaching a high level of market size and economic size of the country in the near future, the group identified about 8-9 factors that we need to focus on. First, they said the manufacturing environment has to become very, very competitive. We need to do that. Whatever I'm saying is not the responsibility of the government alone. I've always felt that the industry and the government are the two wheels of this cart which is moving very fast. We need to attract investments, both domestic and foreign. We do need to encourage use and procurement of domestically produced goods. It's very, very important. I am finding this problem in several areas, that because they're coming cheap, we tend to tilt towards that side, ignoring what is getting produced in India. And the ease of doing business, you all know, there's a lot of improvement, but still significant improvement is further needed. We need to focus on MSMEs, the downstream units which generate a lot of employment. We also need to focus on innovation, new technologies, creativity to move up the value chain. We need to definitely move up the value chain, very important. We do need to promote foreign trade and, of course, internal trade also, and, of course, international cooperation. Focus on skilling and reduction of import dependency. These are some of the things which the group felt absolutely important. Where we stand, we want to be there, we are here. So where we are now is equally important before we talk about where we want to go. It is heartening to note that in terms of the size of the economy, in terms of purchase power parity, India is number 3 in the world. Number 3 in the world, in PPP terms. In terms of nominal GDP, we are already the 5th in the world, as per the IMF data. The manufacturing sector is contributing about 16.4% in the total GDP, whereas when we compared the figures of China, it was about 29%. In imports, pretty high because the rate at which we are importing, the rank was 10th out of 222 countries. In exports, we are not that fortunate. We are 19. Not too bad, but Still a long way to go. And foreign exchange, we're pretty strong, 8 out of 193. Ease of doing business, you all know that, it's repeatedly. 63. Competitive index, 68. Innovation, 52. Electricity production, we are number 3. Coal, 2 out of 40. What are the other things? Significant market size, we already talked about it. In renewable energy regulation, we are number 3 in the world. Corporate governance, 15. Shareholders governance, number 2. But as far as chemical industry is concerned, our share is just 2.9. We're 6th in the world. And in the global chemical exports, it is still low, 2.1%. Then what are the challenges before us? The group felt that the weak global economic outlook expected in the future, it is growing around 3%, around 3. Next year, people are saying it could be 3.2, 3.3. That means half of what we are talking of, the Indian economy, the rate of growth. What is the other challenge? High cost of manufacturing, environment. The deficiencies we notice in utilities, logistics, infrastructure. High transaction cost, both for pre and post investments. And what about chemical sector? The group identified the time-consuming and highly complex procedures for environment clearances is one of the things that the group identified. The group also felt that the need for upskilling, improving capacity building is definitely required. The exports from India are largely traditional and of low technology. Then what are the opportunities then? Rising disposable income, young population, fast urbanization, focus on specialty chemicals, which is growing very fast. Production and consumption is shifting towards Asia and maybe towards India. Trade wars, we have already talked about it, and environmental concerns in China, another opportunity. The consumer shift towards healthier lifestyles, environmental friendly products is also an opportunity. There is a growing policy support for the whole sector and for the entire economy. The improvements, the focus on ease of doing business improvements, FDIs, infra, you name it. So what are the strategies the group felt, particularly for the chemical sector? The feedstock. Feedstock is definitely an area of concern which we need to focus on. Kamal was talking about crude to chemicals and also coal gasification and that route. We had to come up with several models. Development of clusters and particularly mega clusters in terms of PCPIRs. How do we incentivize investments? How do we step up skill enhancements? How do we ensure that we produce quality products and made in India spells quality? One of the things that was suggested was going for mandatory standards throughout. And also, the group recommended introduction in a phased manner of a comprehensive chemical regulation. It need not be exactly like REACH. There are several other things also there which we should be cautious about. But at the same time, the time has come where we need to move in this direction, but along with the industry. Go hand in hand. So there needs to be a regulator, new regulator that we need to put up. It could be PESO, it could be any other organization. We have to identify what are the priority chemicals, how do we go in for compulsory registration of those priority chemicals, and also going for study and adopt global best practices for examination, authorization, and putting restrictions on certain chemicals. A lot of work has already been done. Maybe in the very near future, the first draft should be out. We have already circulated for comments, and a team has already gone, studied REACH, came back and working very seriously on that. So in the very near future, you will be seeing the boundaries of that, and then we'll be consulting you. It should not lead to disruption, but it should lead to support. How do we do that? Artificial intelligence has already been talked about. I think as per your presentation, I was just looking at where the two curves cut is about 2040, where the machine intelligence that we are developing, if it can touch the level of the human brain, you were talking, I was just observing in which year we can anticipate that. So artificial intelligence, a lot of focus was there, the factories of the future, Industry 4.0, which we talked about earlier. So the group identified 4-5 areas where artificial intelligence could play a role: R&D, demand forecasting, cost reduction and improved efficiency, and predictive and better asset utilization and quality assurance. These are some of the areas. Now, the group also felt that there is a need to ensure that we further simplify and rationalize regulatory processes. We do need to further streamline tax-related procedures and rates. The group also recommended focus on IT, incubators, creation of innovation zones. There will be a seed fund that has been recommended for supporting development of ideation, like from idea to proof of concept. And also a robust investment clearance cell hand-holding. Now, as far as the DCPC is concerned, the Chemicals Department is concerned, the group approved the vision of 2025. The contribution of the chemical sector at present to GDP, not the market size. The market size is about 160 and all. The contribution to GDP from about 60-70 billion US dollars. We want that it should touch about 200 billion US dollars in the GDP. The manufacturing sector, when it is aiming at about 1 trillion out of 5 trillion, the manufacturing, out of that, at least 200 billions should come from this sector. So import dependency, as we already discussed, is one of the very serious objectives. How do we attract investment for production of quality products? That's very important. Use of cutting-edge technologies, clusters, how to promote them, and of course, sustainability. The whole objective also should be not only growth, but how do we ensure that the employment opportunities for the masses improve? The strategies, of course, is we're working now on how to promote and further enhance the clusters of including PCPRs, standards we discussed, regulation I already discussed, skilling, a lot of focus is going to come. What I'm saying is, because this has been approved by the government for the next 5 years, we will be coming out with action plan as to how do we achieve it in consultation with the industry and academia. We already know that the sector is already delicensed and deregulated except for some hazardous chemicals. 100% FDI is already allowed. As has already been discussed, there is a healthy growth rate. We estimated in the next 5 years, the growth rate of, say, PE and PP should be of the order of about 8 to 9% definitely. Maybe PTA about 7, maybe PVC, MEGs, we expect about 5 to 6% growth rate. So why I'm saying all this is tremendous opportunity for investment and growth. The demand-supply gap in the overall petrochemicals and chemicals, we felt that even after taking into consideration those that are under construction, is likely to touch about 10 million tons. 10 million tons. So it's a tremendous opportunity to fill the gap. So other point was, how do we ensure better integration between refineries and petrochemicals? Kamal was talking about 80-20 getting reversed to 20-80. So we only have about 11 crackers and 2 more are coming up. But that is not sufficient. He has already talked about 1.2 million tons capacity, ethylene capacity, crackers, almost one in every year. That is required. So how do we do that? So there are definitely opportunities in, of course, commodity polymers, specialty polymers, agrochemicals, dyestuffs, and so on and so forth. So my idea of telling all this is what the government is thinking and what you people are talking of, they're all merging. They're all merging. So we have these ideal vision ideas, but how do we achieve them? Given the constraints, given the challenges, but also the opportunities. So I'm sure you will all come up, not only in this conference, in other conferences and other meets. You will tell us, sir, you do this, come up with this policy. Let us see how best together we come up with these solutions to the problems and challenges and take adequate note of the opportunities that are available. Coronavirus, yesterday, Kamal and we were all discussing about the coronavirus. So some people said, it's an opportunity. Let us fully exploit the opportunity. There are challenges, there are problems. In fact, I've requested several industries associations to give feedback as to what you feel that the country should do, rather chemical and petrochemical sector should do in the given circumstances about the threat which we are experiencing in terms of corona, and how to convert this into an opportunity and grow further. Thanks for giving me this opportunity, because I have to go immediately and catch another flight and go to Bangalore for another international conference. And thank you so much and wish you all the best.